In today's show, the Trailblazers promote assistant Jonah Herskew to the head of their G League team, why the team is finally taking advantage of an opportunity they punted on all last year. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. Coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday, so make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're going to talk about some news. The Blazers have promoted an assistant coach, Jonah Herskew, to the Rip City Remix, the head coach of their G League team. They finally have an actual coach in that situation, not someone wielding a dual role. Plus, we'll talk draft workouts the Blazers have held over the last week. Some second round and draft hopefuls, probably some two-way target and summer league guys in the building. We'll talk about folks who came through there. And then finally, we'll wrap up our final season review of the offseason talking Duop Reath. It's a real smorgasbord on a Wednesday. Welcome to the offseason, y'all. We've got a bunch of topics from a bunch of different directions to cover. Let's get into it. Let's start at the Chiles Center, beautiful campus of the University of Portland. The Blazers have announced that Jonah Herskew, Blazers assistant coach, has been promoted or at least hired as the head coach of the Rip City Remix. Herskew, who spent the last 3 seasons as a behind-the-bench assistant on Chauncey Billups' staff, and you also may remember him from coaching the Blazers summer league teams in Las Vegas in each of the past 2 years. Plus, he was at the NBA Draft Combine. He was one of the coaches that was invited to run the 5-on-5 games at the Combine in Chicago. Herskew, who's been grinding in various positions as in player development roles and video roles in the league, is now going to get some head coaching experience. As the Blazers announced this on Tuesday, June 10th. You're listening to Wednesday, June 11th program. Thanks for listening. In addition, with that announcement, the Blazers made Eli Kel Abrams, who had been the lead video coordinator for the Blazers each of the last 2 seasons, has now been is moving over to the Remix as well, and he'll be the lead assistant for Herskew on the Remix staff. I think this is important for basically one reason. The Blazers kind of wasted this spot last year, in my opinion. They had it filled by assistant GM Sergey Oliva. Not to speak in any way to Sergey's coaching acumen, right? I mean, like, I don't even think like Remix win-loss stuff is worth pointing to here. There's nothing to do with it, right? It just doesn't make sense to have anyone hold a dual role in the organization. The reason that you have a G League team is to be an incubator for players, for strategies, and probably most importantly for coaches. The Blazers have had 3 coaches in 3 seasons. They had Jim Moran, who was the inaugural coach of the Rip City Remix. He went on to get a job on the Kings bench under Mike Brown. He got back in the league. He had coached with the Pistons before that, and then back in the league coaching for the Kings. But this spot is a place that you find out if you have people in your organization that are capable of coaching, not where you stick your assistant GM because that's a good spot for it. I complained about this when it happened last year. I didn't bring it up very much because I don't think this is like a deeply detrimental, but it just felt like a total lost opportunity. Unless you're grooming Oliva to take a coaching role, which the Blazers were very specific when he got that job, that's not what they were doing, and they were hoping that it would be a 1-season thing, and then they'd find a coach in the future, et cetera, right? That was like the plan, right? And here they are executing that plan. But having a dual role, just it doesn't get you the value from the G League. And what do I mean by that, right? I don't think the Blazers have gotten a ton of like tangible value from the G League necessarily, right? Because they're a pretty young team. Because they've been a pretty young team, they haven't had like even spots for some of their young players on the team. See Ryan Rupert to like due to injuries and things like that to even go down and play like a ton of minutes on the G League team. Like usually maybe more talented teams can say like, you, 14th dude on the bench, can go to the G League for a month. We won't need you. But like the Blazers, due to injuries and some other situations, like they didn't always have that sort of luxury of sending that type of player, and Rupert and the ilk down to the G League. And it's not like they've called guys up who have like made this massive jump, right? It's not like they've turned Taze Moore or even Bryce McGowans into NBA players necessarily. It's like you get it, Justin Minaya, throw him in there as well. Like, sure, there's like you're developing players, and maybe it'll pay off deeply into the future. But like, it's like I don't think they have a bunch of tangible. This dude did this in the G League, and now he's taken off. You could argue Chris Murray has maybe improved a little bit from getting some minutes in the G League. Like, sure, but even then, like, I would say hard to really sell me personally on that. Although it might have some value. But again, like, the tangible value to be had is finding out who on your staff can really coach, or letting them go into these places, go into these roles and get an opportunity to improve as coaches. Across the NBA, so many head coaches have grinded in the G League to make it to a front of the bench role. Other organizations use this specifically. Obviously, like, the nature of the G League and the D League has changed over the last 2 decades, but like, for me, the real tangible value is developing coaches at this level, and the Blazers punted on it all last season. I'm very thankful that Jonah Hursky was going to get a chance to develop in this exact role, whether he gets a job with the organization on the Blazers, like, upgraded role on the Blazers bench or elsewhere. But Chris Finch was a G League head coach. Mark Dagno was a G League head coach. Chris Finch, the head coach of the Timberwolves. Dagno, the head coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Nick Nurse in Philly coached in the G League. Mitch Johnson, who's now the head coach of the Spurs, coached in the G League. Jordy Fernandez, who's the head coach of the Nets, coached in the G League. Joe Mazzulla, the head coach of the Boston Celtics, coached in the G League. Quinn Snyder, who's the head coach of the Hawks, coached in the G League. Taylor Jenkins, who's unemployed but was most recently of the Memphis Grizzlies and the winningest coach in Memphis Grizzlies franchise history, coached in the G League. What this really tells you is that Mitch Johnson, Quinn Snyder, and Taylor Jenkins all worked for the Spurs, and the Spurs use the Austin Toros in a very specific way, and it as an incubator for young coaches. Go give them experience, and then let them go out into the world. Let them prove that they are talented. From the G League to Pop's bench to other jobs in the league to lead chair jobs, there has real value. Like, that isn't to say that other coaches can't. There aren't other routes and all of those things. I think, like, for the most part, like the sons of coaches, the Dave Adelmans, JB Bickerstaffs, they don't have to go this route, and the former players, Jason Kidd, Chauncey Billups, they don't have to go this route. Willie Green, they don't have to go this route. It's different, right? So there are, different ilks, different types of coaches go different ways. But I think this is really important for the Blazers as an organization. Use this job, the one given to Jonah Hursky, for something productive. Send your lead video coordinator there and let him coach and see if, okay, this is a young and up and coming coach that we're going to get this is real value here because this guy's showing he can coach, from, communicating with players, getting game plans together, executing the game plans, making adjustments, like the little things in the G League where wins and losses don't really matter that much. And if you do win, it's all better for you. To wit, the Blazers hired an assistant coach in Quentin Crawford, who was the head coach of the Stockton Kings. He went from the head coach of the Stockton Kings, they won a G League championship, to a job on the Blazers bench. This is a place where this is an incubator program for coaches, even more so than it is a program for players to make the leap in the league. I think increasingly, because of how well you can get paid to go play college basketball, the G League route just isn't that interesting. A two-way spot is $500,000. Like a fourth man on a major D1 program as like a 23-year-old graduate senior can be $1.5 million, if not more money. It's a better job to go back to college. Like, the G League just, it's a little bit diluted because of we finally sort of squashed the farce of amateurism at the college ranks, right? Thank goodness. It's a little wild, wild west maybe, but it is better overall because all those games are on TV. Someone should get paid for me watching them. And that person shouldn't be the coach who's getting public tax dollars anyways. Yeah, I'm ranting. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what Hursky's going to do in the G League. And quite frankly, I don't pay close enough attention to the remix to be able to speak to it with much authority. In fact, why I didn't sort of rant about this thing during the season is because I don't know what Sergio Oliva is doing. I know they play really fast and shoot a bunch of threes. I try to get some G League, some remix folks on the podcast, but it was more challenging than you would have guessed. So like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm going to follow the G League really closely and track Herskew's improvement and tell you all of that, what happened and all of what he did and what happened and all of those things and how he's, earning his chops as a coach. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But from a macro level, from a zoomed out level, the Blazers kind of punted on this chance a season ago, and now they've changed roles, right? No dual roles in the organization. Just hire folks to do different jobs, maximize every opportunity you can, because that's how you win. You win on the margins. That's how you win in the NBA, particularly as a team that's not going to, sign LeBron James 4 times over. Like you got to win in the margins. The Blazers punted on one of those margins in the past. Now they're taking advantage of it. I hope Herskew and I hope former lead video coordinator Eli Williams both use this opportunity to grow in the coaching ranks and either, get a job somewhere else in the league or prove to be extremely valuable to the Blazers organization such that they move back up to the big club in higher paying, more prestigious roles into the future. Congrats to Coach Herskew. This is good for the franchise, something that they did not do last year. I'm glad they're doing it this year. Let's talk draft workouts in our smorgasbord of an episode. Oh, real quick, going a little long here. Educated guess on Monday's show. I said that I thought Jonah Herskew was going to get promoted to the Blazers front of the bench. He did get a promotion. I was right about that. Just not the one I said. Your boy, educated guess from this particular host. Like, I feel like I do a pretty good job here of keeping you in line with the happenings of the Blazers. Man, my education and my guesses could both use a little bit of work. I knew something was coming, but I was wrong about it. In any case, thanks for rocking with me. Let's talk draft workouts. The Blazers over the last week have held 2 different workouts for second rounders and sort of like deep hopefuls to make the league. Let's talk about who's been in the building. Join me in that second segment. We will do just that. First, though, I want to tell you about Wayfair. Look, the weather's getting nice. It's warm outside, and there is no better feeling than going out into your outdoor space, whether it is a small patio at your apartment or a spacious backyard at your home or elsewhere, and having it be your own. Wayfair has everything you need to level up your outdoor space, from conversation sets, outdoor bars, fire pits, hot tubs, gazebos, and yes, even the perfect string lights to set the vibe. It's like giving your backyard that resort feel without the resort price tag. So, whatever you're looking for, if you just want to host your friends in an inviting outdoor space now that the weather is a little bit warmer and the days are a little bit longer, or you want to unwind with a book, or you want to listen to a podcast where sometimes the educated guesses are a little bit off, but the vibes are at least clean. You can do that in a backyard space made better by Wayfair. Plus, delivery is fast, free, and totally hassle-free. Even with the larger items, they come to your house for free and quickly. So don't wait. Make your outdoor space your dream oasis today with Wayfair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, the Blazers have held a couple draft workouts, one last week when I was out of town, and one on Tuesday at the practice facility. Again, these are not first round, honestly, if they've been first round targets or folks that are likely to be called in the first 11 picks, where the Blazers have the 11th selection in the draft, you would have already heard about them. But I waited a little bit on this one, because I was out of town and only did 3 shows last week, and 2, these are not pressing NBA dudes who are for sure going to make the team. The Blazers don't even have a second round pick in the draft this year. I will say it's relatively easy for them to acquire a second round pick should they want one. I think last year what we saw is picks in the 50s. It's like the last 10 picks in the second round. You could buy those with cash. That's still possible to buy second round picks with cash. Or like the Blazers have some future picks they could move around to trade back into the draft. They had 34 last year and they traded out and got future picks and ended up with 52nd. They traded out 52 and ended up with cash. They left with some future picks and some cash from that draft. They can get back in with some future picks and some cash if they want to get into the 2025 draft. Very unlikely to happen before draft night. It's not like that's something that a deal that happens beforehand, but on draft night, I think it's very, very possible that the Blazers do indeed trade for a second round pick. I will note though, like the roster's full, so they don't have, they would have to make some decisions, right? It's like, what do you do with Delano Banton and Duop Reath and Jabari Walker, et cetera? If you are like trying to if you're trying to get several second rounders that you're going to offer NBA contracts to, obviously the Blazers could offer these folks two-way deals, but we shall see. You can offer two-way deals to undrafted players as well, and sometimes that's a cleaner, simpler path. So a week ago, last Tuesday, the Blazers hosted five draft hopefuls. That's Cameron Hildreth from Wake Forest, Ben Gregg from Clackamas, baby, by way of Gonzaga, Jemiah Neal from Arizona State, Mohamed Diawara from Cholet in France, playing professionally in France, Caleb Grill from Missouri, and Damari Monsato from the University of Texas, San Antonio. I said 5. They host 6. It's always 6. It's so they can play 3-on-3. I don't know why I'm getting confused over that. It's always 6. None of these guys are high on draft boards. Sam Vecini released his wonderful draft guide this week. None of these 6 prospects that worked out for the Blazers on June 3rd are in Vecini's top 100. So that gives you a sense. There's 60 picks in the draft. Vecini ranks 100 prospects. None of these are on the list. Mohamed Diawara from Cholet is 86 on ESPN's top 100, and Caleb Grill from Missouri is 74 on ESPN's top 100. Grill's like a 6'3" guard. He was SEC sixth man of the year, shot 40% from 3 on nearly 7 attempts from game, came off the bench and got him up and made him. I think he's intriguing maybe as like a two-way guy. 6'3" dude who played 4 years in college is maybe not. I wouldn't target that as like my preferred draft target, but like the production's there, 14 points per game and 40% from 3. Maybe you can find something. Maybe you can find something that works. Mohamed Diawara, he was, remember, 6'6" without shoes. He's got like a 7'4" wingspan, a 225-pound small forward. He's probably more tools and size than like production to be an NBA guy. If he was more productive, if he had more if the skills were translating to more on-court production, he'd probably be a second-round pick, if not higher. If not, it's like, he's like a long-armed big wing that if the tools and skills ever catch up with what he looks like in terms of frame and athleticism, then he's an NBA player. I think he's fringy. Cameron Hildreth, not an NBA guy. Ben Gregg, fun story. Glad he got to work out for the Blazers, not an NBA guy. Damari Monsato, I don't know anything about him. Name I don't know. But from my research prior to pressing record on this program, does not seem to be highly ranked anywhere. We shall see. On June 10th, on Tuesday morning, the Blazers held another draft workout with another 6 names to know. Arthur Kaluma from Texas, Gabe Madsen from Utah, Chibuzo Agbo from USC, Alex Tui of the Sydney Kings, playing professionally NBL in Australia, Jemai Mashak from Tennessee, and Dylan Cardwell from Auburn. Again, not a lot of names appearing high up on draft boards. Dylan Cardwell from Auburn is 91st on ESPN's top 100. And the name to know here, well, I'm going to talk about 2 guys, but the name to know here really is Alex Tui. Real quick on Arthur Kaluma. At one point, Kaluma was considered maybe like a first-round talent back in the 2023 draft, but he went back to college, and wasn't as productive, and then transferred again and finished his college career here at Texas this year. He's going to be 23 on draft night. He does have a Blazers connection. He played for the Uganda national team, which Mike Schmitz, Blazers assistant GM, was an assistant coach of from 2018 up until he took the job with the Blazers. He's familiar with him. I think he was considered a first-round talent at one point. He's 6'7" and has improved as a shooter over the course of his career. Could be a deep second-round guy, could be a two-way undrafted guy, could be a remix guy, but I think he's a name at least worth knowing because he's like a 6'7" dude who shot okay from 3 in college, and that's like the right size and the right skill set to maybe be a role player in the league. The name to know and the best player that, in terms of prospect, the most notable prospect that has worked out for the Blazers over the last 2 weeks is Alex Tui from the Sydney Kings. ESPN has him 36th overall in their top 100, and Sam Vecini in his draft guide has Tui at 37. That's an early second-round pick. That's a guy who gets probably an NBA contract, not a two-way job or two-way deal. Excuse me. It's a job in the NBA, but you're on a two-way contract. I think like 40 is right around the cutoff. 45 and beyond is probably mostly two-way guys in the final 15 spots in the league. So if like you can creep up in those top 40 picks, you can get an NBA job, and Tui might be able to get there. So who is he? He's a 21-year-old, measured 6'7" 3/4, weighs about 225. Played the last 2 years in the NBL in Australia, playing for the Sydney Kings. This season, 24-25, he played 30 games, averaged 10.5 points, 4 boards to go with 1 assist. Shots, 45% from the field, including 30.2% from 3 and 72.9%, from the free throw line. In theory, Tui is supposed to be a shooter. Like, he's got good hands and good instincts and can shoot. And reading the scouting reports from Vicini and elsewhere, like, it's like, yeah, his shot looks so good. He shot in the NBL last season 25.4%, this season 30.2%. It's almost all theoretical. But like 6'8", and if you project him as a shooter and you're drafting in the second round, it's going to be a project. A lot of stuff in the NBA draft is theoretical. As you get deeper down the draft, it's even more theoretical. I think this is like, Tui is a guy, like, if the Blazers were to move up in the draft, seems like a reasonable shot. If you're at 36 or 37 on these boards, you are someone who could be a late first round pick, and he might end up there. You know, he just turned 21, so it's like he'll be 21 to start the season. He's still relatively young. You know, if the Blazers had a second round pick, I think he'd be worth keeping an eye on. That they don't. I think he's just most notable as like, this is the best prospect that has come through and been in the building. Why do they do this? They do this for a couple reasons. One, just get your eyes on folks. There's no downside to more data. No downside to like seeing guys in workouts, talking with them, getting to know them, having them in your building and all of those things. And also, like, you're building possible two-way candidates. You're building, like, say, like the Toumani Camara situation. You get a guy in the building, you see him a little bit, and then if trades come up down the line with another second-round pick in the future, it's like, well, we do like him, and we remember him from this and this and that. Like, you get your data, and you stack it up, and if it works out, great, and if not, there's literally no downside to doing this. And also, like, it's easy to get draft hopefuls in the gym. Guys who aren't going to get drafted, who are like straight up not going to play in the NBA. They're happy to do a million workouts to give themselves an opportunity. Guys who are on the fringe of a second round or the fringe of undrafted versus the second round. It's like, they want to get in the gym. This is why you do it. And the Blazers, again, no downside to doing this. These aren't particularly exciting names, but I think maybe we'll get another big workout here in the coming days. All right, to close the show, finish up the smorgasbord and finish up our season reviews. We're going to talk Duop Reath to close this one up. Join me in that third segment. Before we get there, though, let's talk about Game Time. It's the place to buy last-minute tickets. Whatever you want to go to, Game Time all summer long is going to be the place that gets you tickets. You know, if you want to go to an NBA Finals game, clock's ticking. Use Game Time to get killer last-minute deals. Plus, you can get a panoramic view from your seats before you buy anything, and there's no surprise fees. Game Time is a total game changer. But if you don't want to go to the NBA playoffs, sports all season long, whether it's baseball games or if you're here in Portland, soccer matches from the Thorns and the Timbers, you can go make it happen. The app is super simple and super clean. You search for the event you want to go to. It pulls up a picture of the venue. You see all the deals. You can click around. What you see is what you get pricing. Plus, if you're like, what's the view going to look like? I've never been to that arena, or I've never sat on that side of the stadium before. You get like I said, that panoramic view to take a look at exactly what it's going to look like. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Use the redemption code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you, dear listener, are still listening to Locked On Blazers. We're doing what we do here. I've had a bunch of these. In fact, 14, and this is number 15. Our season reviews, running through every single player on the roster, talking about what they did in 2024, 2025, and looking ahead to what they may or may not do if they're on the team next season. Plus, we'll visit from Michael from the past, talking about the best and worst case scenarios I set for each player way back when I did this in the preseason in September. We've done everybody except for Duop Reath. We were supposed to do Duop Reath on a prior episode, but a little news kept trickling out, and I didn't want to disrespect the news, so we waited on Reath. So let's get into it. What did Duop do? in his second season with the Blazers? Well, he appeared in 46 games and averaged 4.2 points, 2 boards, and 0.6 assists, shot 42.2% from the floor, including 32.1% from 3 and 90.9% from the free throw line. He played 10.2 minutes a game and did not start in any of his 46 appearances. It took a while for Duop to be involved. It did. That's just the truth. He wasn't involved early. He appeared in just 28 of the Blazers' first 59 games, and he only played double-digit minutes in 4 of those 28 appearances. So he's playing like half the time, a little bit less than half the time, half of the games. He's very, very rarely playing big minutes. And the one game in the first 59 games of the season that's like up through the All-Star break and past it, it's the end of February, the first 59 games, he only played one game where he played 20 minutes. And that was a game where the Blazers lost at home to the Utah Jazz by 42 points, and DeAndre Ayton got benched early in the third quarter because his spirit wasn't right. Chauncey Billups famously said, "I didn't like his spirit," and his bad spirit went to the bench, and Duop Reath played 24 minutes in that game, the only game in the first 59 games, the first few months of the season, 4 months of the season, where Reath played 20-plus minutes. He just was out of the rotation, and that was a big change from his rookie year, where he was like, the roster change, obviously, but it's like he played a ton his rookie year. Not surprising in year 2 that he was out of the rotation. That's just kind of how the nature of it, right? But like he wasn't. And then he played in 19 of the final 23 games. And that's the end of February 28th on. And in those games, he played 17 minutes a night, and Reath averaged 6 points, 3.5 boards, and shot 32.4% from 3. Three-point shooting didn't really tick up, didn't get more efficient with more minutes and like a more comfortable role, but obviously just with more minutes, the counting numbers went up there. Let's take a visit with Michael from the past. Let's see where I set the best and worst case scenarios way back when in September for Reath, and then we will see where Duop landed. Take it away, Michael from the past. What's the best case scenario for Duop Reath in his second season with the Blazers, his second season in the NBA at 28? It's that he's undeniable when he gets his opportunity. He's going to start the season out of the rotation. He is not going to play on night 1 unless something very odd happens. But the way it works in the NBA is you'll get your chances. Somebody gets hurt, somebody gets sick, and the best case scenario for Duop Reath is when he gets that chance, he's undeniable. And just like last season when it's like, well, this dude's got to play. It's the same thing because the shooting is back to being an above league average shooter on some volume. He is a skill set that the Blazers just don't have. A stretchy big man who can make some plays off the bounce. His utility with that unique skill set on the Blazers' particular roster makes him undeniable. The best case scenario for Duop Reath is that when he gets his chances, the Blazers have to give him more opportunities because he is too good to sit back down. The best case scenario for Duop Reath is that he creates a logjam at center and question marks about what they're going to do because this dude needs to play, and Blazers end up playing some funky dunky big lineups because Duop Reath deserves to be on the court because when he gets his chances, he shows you that you can't just sit him back down. The worst case scenario is that he spends a lot of the season watching. With DeAndre Ayton still on the team and the team investing the 7th overall pick in Donovan Clingan and the presence of Robert Williams, who we just spoke about in the second segment, Duop Reath is the 4th center on the roster. He can't really play power forward. Like he can't. I know that people see a dude who shoots threes and they say power forward. We all have that friend. A big guy who shoots threes and they just yell power forward. He can't do that. He just does not have the lateral quickness to guard 4s in the NBA. Plus, there's just not a ton of minutes even at the 4 for the Blazers. The worst case scenario is that Duop Reath spends a lot of the season watching. He spends a lot of the season as an interesting deep bench option, but never gets the opportunity. And when the opportunity comes, he isn't undeniable. He's merely an intriguing option that's not quite productive enough to be inevitable and to be undeniable. So he spends most of the season as a spectator. The worst case scenario is that after getting one DNP, his entire rookie season, one DNP CD, did not play coach's decision, he racks him up early. He racks him up early when in year 2 because of the nature of the roster. That's the worst case scenario. Thank you, Michael from the past. So I think Duop Reath pretty clearly hit his worst case scenario. Sadly, I like Duop. I do. I like him. he's got an incredible story escaping genocide in South Sudan and finding his way to the league as a 27-year-old rookie after playing basketball literally all over the globe, Lebanon, China, and beyond. Like, professionally Australia too. Like, he's a dude who chased it, right? Like he found the dream, but like the challenge is not making it, it's sticking. And Reath, while he was really useful to the context of the roster in year one, when the context of the roster changed a little bit in year two, he wasn't as useful. And he was also just a little bit worse. He had a smaller role, but he was also less efficient than his rookie season. Like he just shot it worse from 2. He shot it worse from 3. I think at the very end of his rookie year, like he really tailed off in the last 10 games of his rookie year, but like, he just played a bunch and he kind of got exposed as like, yeah, this dude has real defensive limitations. And then this year they just, like, with Klingon and with Ayton and trying to get Rob Williams in there, it's like that was never going to be the choice. And then they started leaning more into Jabari Walker and not Reath because they liked what Walker brought defensively in terms of their scheme. Reath has limitations. I like the idea of the Blazers having a shooting center, but Reath, again, is like more theoretical. I'll root for him wherever he goes. If he's not a Blazer next season, I'll be a Duop Reath fan. If he's out of the league, I'll be a Duop Reath fan. I am, on a personal level, I like him a lot. I just think the Blazers, he might get caught in the roster churn for the Blazers. His contract for next season, 25-26, is about $2.2 million, but it is non-guaranteed. And it becomes fully guaranteed if he is on the roster after August 1st. So it's late in the off season, right? They'll be able to get through all of the draft, and they'll be able to get through all of free agency. Basically, there's not a lot of stuff that happens in the early August typically with free agents. Like, so the Blazers don't have a lot of urgency to make a decision on Reath, but if they do end up making some trades, or they do end up, he could obviously be included in a trade, but like if they do end up filling up the roster, he is a player that basically they can just let go with no punishments. Obviously Delano Banton is a free agent, and Jabari Walker's likely to be an unrestricted free agent. So it's like you're probably letting those two gentlemen walk, and then Reath would be, the next sort of guy in the chopping block. They need center depth a little bit. He isn't an elite rim protector, and he's not like, he's not a great like NBA center, but I think he is like an intriguing third center. Like, I have no problem. He's probably not good enough to be your every night backup, but like he's an intriguing third center, and on the Blazers like particular roster brings a skill set that they don't have. So I could see a world in which they do get to the end of the the offseason. Like, yeah, Duop still works. Like, Duop still fits in what we want to do, and like he's cheap at basically the minimum, like an escalating minimum. Like it is. Yeah, I think Duop, his fate and future with the Blazers will be so much more predicated on what else happens with the roster, more so than what he brings, because the Blazers know what he brings. He's as I'm recording this, you were listening to the June 11th program, he's 2 weeks shy of his 29th birthday, right? Like, he's not going to take this massive leap. He's the player that he is, flaws and all, incredibly fun dude. And if because of his roster, because of his contract situation, the Blazers can bring him back with very little risk, and they aren't forced to make that decision until a little bit later in the summertime. But I think the other decisions that they make roster-wise will inform us on Reath's fate ultimately, with the obvious caveat that he could be traded, because that's how it works. That is going to do it for today's program. Come back for tomorrow's program. Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings is going to join the program, and we are going to talk all things NBA draft from someone who covers the draft professionally. Get an expert in here. Tyler's returning guest of the podcast. He's really good. You're not going to want to miss it. So we will get into all things Blazers and the some first-round targets, etc. Come back for that show. That's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Do me a favor, tell your friends about the program. That's the way it happens. You can subscribe. I love it. Hit the button, hit the bell so you can get the notifications on YouTube. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that stuff. Leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to the podcast. But if you made it this far, you're a half hour into a program in the middle of June about the Portland Trail Blazers. Tell one friend. Go ahead and tell one friend. Send them a text message and share the link to however you listen to it and say, check out Locked On Blazers. I enjoy it. You will too. And then come back for tomorrow's show. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.